Hello viewers, this is our weekly review program in which we highlight the major stories of the week. I am your host Abdullah Burhani, joined by my colleague Asrat Adisu. Do stay with us.
Thank you, Alula, for having me in the program. And how was your week?
It was so nice, Asrat. What about yours?
Yeah, I have had also a nice week. And as you said, we have had some major events that took place in the country. And one of them that deserves to be mentioned is the 36th regular session of the House of People's Representatives, in which the House deliberated on many topics, on the economy parts, on the internal issues, on the diplomatic policies. And among them, my first point that I want to stress is the diplomatic policy that Ethiopia is having with immediate neighboring countries like Sudan, Somalia, Kenya, Eritrea, and the like. The Premier, His Excellency Abiy Ahmed, mentioned some important points to be perceived by the House of People's Representatives as well as by everyone who attended the live session. His remarks were, the diplomatic policy with the neighboring countries should anchor the collaboration and the mutual development rather than, a sole-standing kind of development and growth. That's my very first point I want to stress.
Yeah, like what you have been saying, His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in his parliamentary address, he has stressed the financial sector, and he said that the financial sector is showing a healthy progress trajectory. That's what he has said, and he has also mentioned the point that the mobile finance users has reached 47 million. It's a huge number actually, and he has also said the number of banks has increased from 17 in the last 5 or 6 reform years. It has been developed into 34 and like that. And then this shows, it has created a competitiveness. Not only the expansion, the number, but the quality of service that the banks give is higher. And that's what he has said.
If we look back the number of these mobile phone users in the last 3-4 years, the number of users is increasing in each year. And this year's number is, very much amazing. That 47 million is a significant number in contrast to the general public.
Yeah, you're right. So let's dive onto the major stories. I think this was one of the story, but let's go to the corridor development. I think we have got, as a major topics are the corridor development and the Green Legacy Initiative. So the corridor development, with regards to the corridor development, the Addis Ababa City Administration is doing a great achievement or a great task of, making Addis Ababa be fitted to its residents and its diplomatic, hub nature. And Her Excellency Meral Chababe had a stay with Ethiopian television, briefing about the achievements of the corridor development and how had that been, possible to be realized. So it's coming to near its completion, and in her stay with ETV, the mayor addressed that the concerted efforts of various parties has enabled us to bring the corridor development near to its completion. And as it's known, corridor development has brought up a new culture of working culture, new habit of working culture, like 24/7, what they call it. Yeah. The city administration, those officials in the hierarchy of the warada, the sub-city, all these things, they are doing the work concertedly or in harmony with the different, the daily workers, all these things, in the middle of the night, daily, all these things. So, their concerted, integrated effort has realized to bring the corridor development to its completion. Yeah. You can imagine what was Addis Ababa before the corridor development, and how does Addis Ababa looks like after the corridor development. They are different. Addis Ababa has got a different look now. Yeah. So it's being developed. Okay, it's becoming a new flower, like the name represents. Yeah. So we have to thank the city administration and the government. The synergy that's happening with the different government bodies is showing us, a new reality, a new face. You can imagine that it seems like, a 3D simulation.
Yeah.
You can't imagine with this short period of time
Yeah.
span, within 3 or 4 months, we are now approaching the rainy season. So they are really, bringing about a very great achievement, and this has really great contribution to bringing Addis Ababa a city of making Addis Ababa city a conference city tourism. Okay, it has got its own tourism value, and it's a diplomatic hub as well. It's known, and then in propagating, in showing Addis Ababa as an African city. So it is, but the infrastructure that it had and all the roads, they have to be modernized. And the mayor also stressed the fact that these corridor development projects is supposed to take 40 billion kind of cost estimation, but now they have been able to make it up to 30 to 33, and this has really, the corridor development has really brought about wealth accumulation as well. We have been able to minimize the cost, she said, and we have really integrated our efforts, Ethiopian efforts. Most of the works are done by Ethiopians, and it is a great kind of achievement. It shows that we are able to make such kind of huge impact next to the Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam and that of Green Legacy Initiative. What do you say about this? What thought do you have?
Yeah, that was very great. You mentioned major points pertaining this corridor development. So, as a resident of the city of Addis Ababa and, as a professional, I'm very much astonished to observe the change that the corridor development has brought about. When we say the corridor development, it focuses on some milestones like the streets, avenues, and some residential areas as well. So the roundabouts and the parking areas, the pavements for the pedestrians and for the bikers, cyclists have their own lanes. And this has brought new aspects like cozy recreational areas, people walking on city plazas, and a kind of relief. People just started to use cyclists, bikes, and even people walk from a given place to another destination in the city because of the corridor development. And this was a huge commitment by the people of politics, and someone has to dare, and the audacity of the city administration is very much astonishing. Had it not been for the audacity of the city administration, this could not have been achieved. So the city administration really deserves appreciation, and the federal government is also encouraging these activities, being on the side of the city administration. And that was what the mayor focused, as you mentioned, and that is really worthy of appreciation. And it has brought huge change for the city because, as you mentioned, Addis Ababa is an epicenter for continental diplomacy, but a global diplomacy as well. Yeah. That's it.
Like what you have mentioned, the corridor development has brought about different fruits. Okay, like one thing that you have mentioned was the biking culture. It's a good, healthy lifestyle. People are now making their walks. They walk freely on the sidewalks, the pavements, and it's a good thing. Previously, you can mention. We can see that we have been realizing, we had the experience of when we walk, we were just, pushing one another like that. So there wasn't such expanded walkways, and that is good for our health as well, because there might be different communicable diseases, okay, when you are in contact with people. And the other one, when you bike, if there is a biking lane, it's good for our health as well. And it's good for climate change as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Bikes have got no carbon oxides that they are emitting.
Yeah.
They are healthy for our. They have got, they are healthy kind of vehicles. So in making cities free from kind of pollution, this corridor development has a huge impact. That's it. So climate these days, cities are being polluted because it is a global figure. Yeah, because in cities there are lots of vehicles, and those vehicles are vehicles which emit carbon dioxide. Okay, so the gas emission that they emit is gonna pollute, and the industries are there in cities or around the cities. So all these things. So considering different elements, in maintaining a very friendly eco balance and healthy lifestyle, this corridor development has its own great contribution. And like what you have been said, it's commendable, it's appreciated, and we really want to thank the city administration, the government, in their efforts of making these things happen to reality. And the other one, once I have mentioned the climate change, we are moving on to the Green Legacy Initiative.
Great.
You know that the Green Legacy was, the initiative was, conceptualized by and, brought to practice by His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. So the Green Legacy Initiative, which the Prime Minister has, launched 5 or 6 years ago with his advent, has really brought up different, fruits. And one might be the forced coverage that Ethiopia had before the Green Legacy, and now it's different. It's increasing.
Huge
Specifically,
difference,
coming to our city, Addis Ababa, the Green Legacy Initiative has enabled Addis Ababa to have, 15% kind of forest coverage. Previously, it had 2.8. So you can see how impactful it is. And then this Green Legacy, apart from providing healthy kind of oxygen or air, it really helps to maintain eco balance. Not only that, it really helps. It has got its own contribution in sustaining productivity actually. So what do you say in this regard?
Yeah. What amazes me is the initiative. Someone should start it as a holistic measure, and it was the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed who initiated this huge impactful program. And by the Green Legacy, a legacy is something that you should inherit for the coming generation. And the Green Legacy is something intended for the next generation, not only for this generation. Something green, gives you life, gives someone, a hope of existence. And the Green Legacy Initiative, foresees the coming generations. And I'm really appreciative of that perspective. And with the Green Legacy Initiative, the Ethiopian Forestry Development has, mentioned some paramount roles in protecting the ecosystem, as you said, and increasing the forest cover, not only in Addis Ababa, but all over the country, throughout Ethiopia. And when mentioning about the other areas in Ethiopia, the Sidama State's Agriculture and Natural Resource Bureau mentioned that about 285 million seedlings are, prepared for this Green Legacy Initiative to be cropped this summer. And there are other points like about 375,000 tons of honey, this 2024-2025 fiscal year in Amharic Yelema Turufat, which is
Bounty of basket.
Basket.
It's a fruit of one of the Green Legacy Initiative.
That's great.
Yeah.
And the Green Legacy is an initiative which is, benefiting all citizens across the nation, and it's, impacting the global, climate change thing.
Ethiopia is playing its own role.
And moreover, the diplomacy thing cannot be undermined. Recently, Ambassador Nebiyu Terla, spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has briefed journalists about the success of the green diplomacy Ethiopia has at a global level.
Yeah, actually, this is, green diplomacy, like what you have been saying. Ethiopia is showing that it is playing its own role in maintaining the eco balance of the world. Now, these days, climate change crisis is really, endangering the status quo of the globe. We can say things are not going in the way that they should be. So one way or the other is about climate. So today, Addis Ababa has also launched it's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 5th or 6th kind of, Green Legacy Initiative, planting trees campaign. It was launched by Her Excellency Mayor Addis Ababa, and different delegates and dignitaries have been, invited. They have been planting trees. AMN has been giving a live coverage of the event. So the mayor has also addressed the fact that Addis Ababa, the green coverage or the forest coverage of Addis Ababa is improving. You know, like what you have been mentioning, this climate change issue is a global issue, and you know the Azerbaijan delegation had paid a visit to Ethiopia and met up with the Speaker of Ethiopian House of People's Representative. We are moving on to the diplomacy as well.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
this Green Legacy Initiative, you know, next to Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam, it can bring together all the people of Ethiopia to stand together or in unison. Because you see, everybody wants to have a fresh air. Everybody wants, like what you have been saying, the bounty of basket, you know, the honey production. Ministry of Agriculture was announcing 375,000, tons of thousands of honey production is supposed to be made in the coming year, 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
Why? Because there is a high forest coverage, you know. The forest coverage of Ethiopia is improving from time to time. And this really paves the way for honey production as well. So you see, there are different fruits. When there are forests, not only that we get fresh air, but also we can do different kinds of, you know, agricultural products like, you know, honey production, it might be, and different kinds of agroecological activities could be done there. And then this really helps us to activate and you know, increase the agricultural productivity rate. And that's what the Agriculture Minister Grumamenti has been saying. Do you have something to add in this regard? Or shall we move to the next one?
Yeah, let's move to the next one.
Okay, so with regard to this one, the diplomatic aspect, you know, the Azerbaijan delegation had been here and just spoke with the Speaker of House of People's Representative Tagas Chafo, and the COP29, the organization that deals with the climate change president and the Ecology and Natural Resources Minister of Azerbaijan, Mukhtar Babayev, had with his delegation met with Speaker Tagas Chafo, and they spoke about, you know, like what we have been saying, the Green Legacy Initiative, the impact that Ethiopia is creating. You know, the GLI or Green Legacy Initiative has really brought a great impact in the world climate as well in Ethiopian situation. So we are on the side of Ethiopia in this regard, said that Mukhtar Babayev, the Natural and Ecology Minister of Azerbaijan. That's what he has stressed and underscored. And then, you know, the delegation, along with that of Speaker Tagas Chafo, were planting trees in the House of People's area where they have been given. So really, you can imagine, even Tagas Chafo, the Speaker, has underscored the fact that $1 billion has been, you know, promised for this kind of activity, but it's not. It doesn't come to reality. It's not yet materialized. So we have to push to make it into reality. It's not about, you know, a preaching of words only. It's a practical kind of, you know, activity that we are supposed to make. That's what he has said. The other one is, you know, you were mentioning the diplomatic ties that Ethiopia had with the neighboring countries. So South Sudanese delegation came to Ethiopia and met with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs people, and there was what you call Ethiopian and South Sudan Joint Border Administrators meeting, which was held in the premises of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it was very much fruitful and successful. They have the delegates of the two countries have had a nice discussion, and the discussion has enabled them to bolster the bilateral relationship that Ethiopia and South Sudan had, and to focus on the infrastructural developments that the two countries are bordering with, the border development that they share together. And as well, they had a discussion of, you know, bringing fruitful people-to-people ties.
Yeah.
You might say something in this regard, because Ethiopia has played a great role in the independence of South Sudan.
Earlier we mentioned Ethiopia's policy regarding the immediate neighbors, and South Sudan being a very young nation who was, you know, helped by Ethiopia for its independence, as you said, deserves still its development and internal peace. Ethiopia being capable of, you know, using any military operation, Ethiopia left that as a last resort, and is always, you know, preferring a round-the-table discussion with immediate neighboring countries as well as anybody elsewhere. So the discussion held with the South Sudanese authorities and officials is, a kind of still, a sign of Ethiopia's commitment for mutual development.
Yeah, win-win kind of approach.
Win-win kind of approach.
The next story that I have is, the Ethiopian National Defense Force Chief of Staff, Field Marshal Birhanu Jula, has paid a visit to Uganda, and there he met up with the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and there they had a nice, fruitful discussion as to bolster the bilateral relations that the two countries have. And they have underscored the fact that the two countries have a significant role of sustaining the peace and security of the Horn of Africa. So His Excellency Field Marshal Birhanu Jula has a nice stay, and that was what they have really focused on. And as well, President Yoweri Museveni has also, given an emphasis to the contribution that Ethiopia is playing, and in this aspect, they are happy to work together. That was a point. The other one is the East African Standby Force. East African Standby Force has visited the motorized battalion military base in Ethiopia, which is set up by Ethiopia, and they were surprised. The military base here in Ethiopia, which has been paid visits by East African Standby Force, was very, they were very amused. Okay, it was so nice. It has got state-of-the-art kind of, military equipment.
Readiness,
yeah, that was the case. And the other one is African Union Deputy Chairperson Monique Sanzabaganwa said that education is the only way wherein we can just, bring equality of gender, she said. So, that these days the gender inequality really prevails in schools and in different aspects, even the governmental section. So the Ethiopian government is taking a front line in making empowering women to come to governmental leadership. A case in point might be, Addis Ababa is having the first mayor, as a woman. A female, the first one in history.
The first one.
Yeah, so she said the empowerment of women can be realized through education only. That's what she has said. So Sanzabaganwa stressed this fact. The other one, Ethiopian ambassador to Korea, Dese Dalke, has met up with the South Korean Dongyu University president, Soo Woon-han, and they had discussed it as to, increase the number of students coming from Ethiopia to South Korea for educational exchange in maintaining and, exploring the educational ties the two countries have. Ethiopia has played a great role for South Korea and as well,
peace and stability.
That in history, we know that South Korea has been facing, there was a Korean War. In that aspect, Ethiopia has been invited through United Nations force, and the Ethiopian forces have really contributed their own share as to sustain peace and security in the world. And that's what the case has been said. The other one, in the last week, Nigerian footballers have been in Addis Ababa, like Nwankanu Kanu, Daniela Mokache. Those are 1994 footballers, stars of 1994. Even these players have been, we know them, we do remember. They are Olympic winners, gold medalists during their youth. So they have been invited by Ministry of Tourism, Her Excellency Minister Nasisi Chale. So they just have said that they were very much pleased, happy to come to Addis Ababa and stay. And they have been chosen as ambassadors of Ethiopia, as to represent Ethiopia, to represent her, so that Ethiopia can host the African Cup of Nations, AFCON. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has met up with them, and he has a nice stay. He said that we have requested, they are our ambassadors, they will let our voices heard. When we get the chance, it really helps us to pave, stimulate or, reactivate the football of Ethiopia. That's what has been said.
These footballers are, as you said, very influential. They can influence anybody, not only the African football, but the global football as well, because of their global influence they have had. And that was very, very nice to host them here in Addis. And regarding the Korean case that you mentioned earlier, I do, remember from the history books that this collective security was a base, for Ethiopians to stand out their first peacekeeping security, mission.
Actually, lastly, the last one will be, Ethiopia's Foreign Affairs Minister, Ambassador Taye Atskasalasia, had met with Italian parliamentary delegation led by Senator Stefania Craxi. She was here in Ethiopia last week. She's the president of the Senate of Foreign Affairs and Defense Commission of Ethiopia. So they had a nice discussion. She came leading the parliamentary delegation, and the Minister Taye Askeslase of Ministry of Foreign Affairs had a fruitful discussion. Well, viewers, our weekly review ends here. Till we meet up with another edition.
Thank you.